Welcome to Multifamily Insights. I'm your host, John Casman, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. If you're enjoying this show, I need you to do me one quick favor and leave us that rating and review. I want to hear what you love about the show, but also get your honest feedback on anything we can do to make it work a little harder for your investing goals. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And we've got a fun episode today. We're going to be talking to Travis Smith. Travis Smith is the founder and CEO of Tribevest, a platform that makes it easy to invest as a group and do deals together in as little as 48 hours. Now, he has a unique and nearly 2 decades of extensive background in financial services and is a pioneer in collaborative investing. The real estate landscape is changing, and you need to be prepared to take advantage of the emerging opportunities. That's why you should join me and other top real estate investors for the Midwest Real Estate Networking Summit, May 6th and 7th in Chicago. Now, you want to build the connections and partnerships that will help you scale your portfolio. Guest speakers include Jay Papasan, author of the #1 best-selling book, The One Thing; Ray Higdon, network marketing expert and author of Freakishly Effective Leadership for Network Marketers; and Tarl Yarber, Bigger Pockets contributor and the CEO of Fixated Real Estate. Now, join us for the Midwest Real Estate Networking Summit on May 6th and 7th in Chicago. Tickets are available right now at MidwestRESummit.com. Use promo code PODCAST to save on your ticket today. Again, go to MidwestRESummit.com and use promo code PODCAST to save on your ticket. Let's welcome to the show, Travis Smith.
John, it's great to be here. Thank you for that introduction. Been looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Hey, Travis, I went over your bio at a very, very high level. Take 2 minutes and fill in some of those gaps.
Thanks. Again, founder and CEO of Tribevest. And we make it easy, we make it safe, and we make it transparent to invest as a group, to invest with your friends, to invest with your colleagues. And my journey professionally started with Morgan Stanley as a financial advisor. I often say I was saved by software and was really in the fintech space for a long time, working with banks and financial partners and startups and moving money and everything else. So my background in terms of how do you build the collaborative financial infrastructure to investing is, very relevant. But, probably more relevant to Tribevest is my personal story, John. And like you and many of your listeners, just been on a wealth journey, learning journey in terms of how do I invest more wisely? How can I invest like the wealthy? How can I be not so dependent on my day job? All those things. And when I say it's been a journey, it's been a journey.
I love it, man. Well, I can't wait to dive into this. You talked about just really what it took to kind of create this platform, a platform that makes it easy, safe, and transparent to invest as a group, but then your wealth journey. So let's start there, right? Because that's the reason people are listening to this. They're on their own wealth journey. They're trying to figure out how to make their money work harder for them so they can enjoy what life has to offer. More time with friends and family, more time doing the things that you really enjoy, less time in the office. So when you talk about your wealth journey, just kind of walk us through there, right? You mentioned being at Morgan Stanley, kind of launching this platform. Walk us through kind of what led you to say, you know what, I've got to do something a little different here.
Yeah, it really comes to trying to solve for my own challenges. And, if you do the math, this was 2008. So you have to go back a little while. And my brothers and I were on a fishing trip. And again, 2008. So imagine the Great Recession, kind of people around us are losing their jobs, and are unemployable. And that scared the heck out of us. We had learned early, go to school, get a good job, max out your 401k and, retire and, die gracefully or something. I don't know what the promise was, but it wasn't adding up. And so, on this fishing trip with my brothers, we were talking about that, how, we all had good jobs. We were all maxing out our 401ks, but it didn't feel like enough, and certainly wasn't never going to be enough to for us to reach our dreams of finding financial freedom. And we always saw real estate as a way to hack wealth without having to give up our day jobs. After all, everybody we knew that was wealthy and had that financial freedom were real estate investors or owned their own businesses. And we talked about how hard it is to break in to real estate, right? You need capital first. That was the most obvious kind of challenge to us. But we weren't taught that. We didn't grow up in a real estate family. You don't learn it in school. So the how do you find deals? How do you qualify deals? So just, the whole thought of getting into real estate was very overwhelming for us at the time. And so on this fishing trip, we kind of had our breakthrough. We said, listen, our first biggest problem is we need capital. So why are we talking about investing in real estate when we don't have capital? And on our own, we realized it was going to take a long time to kind of build up capital enough to invest. And then even when we did, would we have the guts, or would we be smart to invest it into a new asset class that we didn't understand? And again, that's when we realized, we said, listen, let's form an investor tribe. Let's form an LLC, limited liability partnership. Let's open up a business bank account. Let's start putting capital in on a regular basis. That was $500 each a month. So between the four of us, that was $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year. And by the end of the first year, we were participating in our first multifamily, syndicate. And that was the first of many, right? But we look back now, 15 years later, and millions of dollars in our portfolio clearly changed the trajectory of our financial lives. We unlocked a future none of us could have achieved on our own. And we say, how do we do that? Like, we pinch ourselves all the time. And it's, it all came back to that day when we said, listen, let's commit to each other. Let's form an entity, pull our capital, and do this together. It was that discipline that got us over the hump. So, yeah, it all came back to, Tribevest, which really we didn't start till 4 years ago. So it took us, a long time to really say, oh my God, this is a huge advantage out there. People started asking us, could we help them form an investor group? And we had to think about, gosh, what would we do differently? And the answer was everything. But again, with my background in banking, we put together a platform that makes it, makes you avoid all the mistakes we did, when we were doing it ourselves. It was, antiquated. We didn't know, did we need an attorney? Did we need a lawyer? Did we need a operating agreement? Do we need an LLC? How does this all work? And, we kind of stumbled through it. So now there's a platform where you streamline all that, all the best practices, and you can be opening up a business bank account, pulling capital, and investing together as a group in less than 2 days. So it used to be like a month and a half was super fast, right? And now you can form a group, you can find a deal, form a group, invest in it in less than 2 days.
I think it's amazing hearing you go back to, 15 years ago, you and your brothers on this fishing trip, recognizing where you're at financially, but also recognizing that, there may be some opportunities in real estate. How do we get the capital we need to invest? And I think that acknowledgement is the first step. And it's really critical because most people don't really take the action after that, right? It's easy to recognize that, hey, real estate's a great way for us to build wealth. Now what? Especially if you don't have the capital. If you have the money, it's a little easier. But if you don't have the money, it's tough. So I think that insight from anyone who is listening to this right now is that if you don't have the capital, look at the people around you. How can you pool resources together to create a greater impact? And I love the fact that you said you started with just, $200 a month or $500 a month. The four of you, $2,000 a month going into this account. At the end of the year, you have $24,000, and you're able to start using that to invest. So not a huge amount of money. $500 a month is not a huge amount of money if you're talking about investing in real estate, particularly with four different people investing this. So pulling those resources together allowed you to really scale and build a big portfolio and create, the kind of freedom you were looking for. Take me back in that time, because how confident were you guys that this was going to work at just $500 a month? I mean, was the plan just to have a little bit of, just change, I guess, or did you really expect this, $500 a month to turn into, this large portfolio?
Gosh, great question. And, just going back to your point of, acknowledging the challenge, the hurdle. And you're right. I think that was the kind of the moment where there was this opportunity. Because if you don't, what do? You put it in that someday category, right? You're like, oh, someday I'll invest in real estate, right? Someday I'll get around to it. But if you don't acknowledge it in that moment and take some action, it might not ever happen. And for us, to answer your question, how confident were we? I think that's the beauty of what we did, was it had to work. It had to work, meaning, we're putting in $500 a month. That's $2,000 a month. So we were going to have $24,000 in a year. We're going to have $48,000, at the end of second year, right? We'll have, so on and so on. And so it kind of became simple to us at that point. And we knew if we had the capital, we also had the drive, and we would figure it out. So I think we knew it would work. We didn't have any clue how it would work. But with that capital, we knew that we would figure it out, and we did. And it took us a long time. And I think we kind of went through this journey. It was funny. First, we did a real estate syndication where we were very passive investors in the deal.
Yeah.
Right? We actually felt gypped, John. We were like, man, I want to be a landlord, and I want to, be in charge of, the property and the rents, and, being able to make all these moves. And that feels like real estate investing. And so our next deal, we went and we became landlords doing some single family, deals, and they were great. But we actually realized, we came full circle. We were like, it's a lot of work and a lot of coordinating and everything else. And realizing that we kind of had it right the first time. We found a really good operator and syndicator to put our money into. And ever since, we've been doing a lot more passive investing in other people's real estate syndications, but we still own a number of short-term rentals, ones that we use. And then we invest in all sorts of things too, that we would have never been investing in on our own. That's for sure.
I love it, man. I think there's two big takeaways. One, save what you can save, right? So just start today. Start with wherever you're at. If you, feel like, hey, this is a long journey, I don't know, just start saving. Start saving. And quite frankly, it's very similar to how we started. My wife and I, we just started saving a portion of our checks, and we just put it into this different savings account. It was automatic. It went out every paycheck. So, we got paid on the 15th and the 30th. It went out on like the 17th and the 2nd of the month or whatever. And it was just automated. So we never really saw the money. It kind of went into this account. And then once there was enough money in that account, we used that to buy. So I think the first step is just save and try to automate that as much as you can. The second tip there is be patient. Be patient with your goals, be patient with the process, and give yourself time to learn. And while you're, stacking up that savings account, well, now you can continue to educate yourself and learn and figure out who do you want to work with, or what kind of investing do you want to do, or what does it take to be a landlord. Take that time while you're saving to really educate yourself so that once you have those funds, you're ready to go and you're ready to invest. You mentioned that, you really launched this platform, Tribevest, 4 years ago, and you did that really as a reaction to people asking you to help them get started and to learn from the mistakes that you've made. What were some of those mistakes that you made early on?
Right. Yeah. Gosh, we made them all. I mean, we made all of the mistakes. It really was, the process was, man, we're doing it. This is great. And then all of a sudden realizing that our lives had changed because of it, right? Like we had this freedom that we had. And then other people started noticing, right? And people were like, how are you guys investing in these deals? How are you guys doing this? And we told them the power of the tribe. And that's when the questions started coming. Hey, wait a minute. I have people I know, like, and trust. We have, shared financial goals. Can you help us form an investor group too? And, first I had to think about, well, how big is the market? Like, is this a real void in the market? And the answer is absolutely. It's really hard to form an investor group the right way on your own. And then two, I had to think about, gosh, we certainly did not create the blueprint for this. But the question became, what would we do differently? And it was everything. I mean, we didn't talk to an attorney, right? We didn't have an operating agreement for the first year. We had no transparency. One person was controlling the bank account. How do we communicate? So, and then all those things, you can overcome on your own. They're not unsurmountable things, but each one just stacks up in terms of, being an important variable in the success. And so it's just a very antiquated process. So, the mistakes made in terms of group investing was, we probably didn't set it up the right way, right? So we weren't protecting ourselves. And then lack of transparency and communication. So we trusted each other, which was important, but with lack of transparency, just a lot of questions fester, and it creates tension and everything else. So those things became like, well, wait a minute, let's just slow down and make sure we have full transparency. So if you ever have any questions, anybody and everybody in the group can come in and see exactly where we're at. So those were the big ones. And then, that's more around group investing. And then, of course, I think we made, the normal amount of mistakes on the real estate investing journey.
Yeah.
Which is just part of the experiential learning.
Well, I've been hearing you say two things, right? So on the real estate investing, there's certainly mistakes that can be made, but when it comes to, trying to invest with friends and family, one was just not having an attorney involved, who can ask you some of the tough questions, not having an operating agreement, not having that transparency, whether it is how communications and updates are made, being able to access the bank accounts and seeing what's going on with the money, understanding like why certain things are happening, but having that transparency makes it easy. You talked about, the Tribevest platform is the easy, safe, and transparent way to invest as a group. And easy, you talked about the time frame, right? So being able to do this in 48 hours, that is a really quick turnaround. So you're saying that me and a few buddies, we decide, hey, we want to invest together. 2 days later, we're up and running. We've got the LLC, we've got the bank accounts. Maybe just give me a little more context on how you're able to deliver that quick turnaround for investors.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've streamlined it because really it's not that complicated. It's very antiquated if you don't know what you're doing. But the truth is, setting up an investment group safely, securely, in the right way, it's pretty checklist, like, make sure you agree on this, make sure you agree on this. There's about, a few things that you just need to make sure you're aligned on. And you go through the process and you actually configure those rules together, and then you vote on them. And then that becomes your operating agreement. So everybody knows the rules up front. You know how you're going to handle decisions, who's going to manage this, how you're going to exit at the end, all those things that, as long as you determine them up front, everybody's good. It's unemotional. If you don't determine those things up front and then those things happen, you're figuring it out in the moment. That's where things, aren't good. So through the platform, you're coming up with those rules up front. You're voting on those rules up front. And then we're helping you file your LLC in any of the 50 states. So we're integrated with 50 of the Secretary of States to file your LLC. As soon as you get back your LLC and everything's approved, and we do members, and then we've opened up an FDIC insured business bank account within minutes. So anyway, and then ongoing, we make it easy to link your bank account, pull your capital. We manage the whole cap table, so you know how much each person has invested and contributed, how much they own of the partnership, and give you a whole dashboard to communicate and make decisions together.
I think it's very helpful, especially, if you're doing more of a partnership and it's a smaller group, because it can get really complex, really quickly. And I don't think people really understand that, especially if it's something simple and you're like, okay, you're going to put a 50K, I'm going to put a 50K, let's go do something together. It may sound very easy, but a lot of things that you're talking about, how decisions are made, if there has to be an additional investment, who's going to actually run the day-to-day, how are these different things being made and these decisions taking place? You want to have all that figured out up front. And this platform allows you the ability to do that, which I think is great for anyone. I think it's easy to think about the positives in the platforms, but I know for a lot of people, when it comes to investment and just thinking about our society and how, particularly in America, we don't really talk about money that openly. So when it comes to with friends and family and investing in money, man, that's a lot of, red tape for a lot of people that they don't want to cross. So how, not so much for you, but how should people think about this? If you know that you can work with someone else to grow and to scale, how do you get comfortable working with friends and family? What are the kind of questions you should ask to figure out, do you want to even proceed with this kind of partnership?
Yeah, great question. I think, one of the easy ways to do this is a lot of tribes are formed based on one deal, right? So there's not a lot of, decisions, or you don't have to go too deep. The answer is are we both interested in this deal, or are we all, four of us, all five, all six, or 10 of us interested in this deal? And if so, are we all willing to put in this much to get over the threshold to get in, right? And so we talk about alignment, right? And how important that is up front. And what's nice about those single deal tribes is the alignment basically is the deal, right? So that's one. The other one is, hey, if you're really kind of forming a joint partnership where you're planning on doing multiple deals and considering those deals and voting on those deals and things like that, there is more alignment that needs to be done. And the way we do that is we give the initiator, we call them the founder, the ability to build a plan, right? Like, hey, this is what we're going to invest in. Here's how much we're looking to have everybody contribute, basically laying out what this is going to look like, and then being able to share that with prospective members, partners, and have them either say, this is awesome and I can get in on it, or letting them bow out with dignity, right? Like, not putting pressure on them, but just letting them maybe not respond. And so those are some of the nuances that we've seen make it, help with that alignment process, and getting to understand each member's, are they in a position to do this? Are we aligned? But great question.
Yeah, I think that the key takeaway there for me is just trying to help people understand exactly what it is they're signing up for. And that may require you to take, more inventory and get more clarity on what a partnership looks like, who's making what decisions, how much are they looking to invest, how much, input do they have. So as you're sharing this with people, and this is true whether you're doing, any investment, a real estate syndication, a JV, the more clarity you have on what your vision is and how things work, I think the easiest is going to be for someone to say, yes, sign me up for that, or no, I'm not interested. And then to your point, if you can get that clarity and alignment early in the process, they can bow out and there's no harm done to the relationship. I think the challenge that a lot of people see is one person or one party's expecting one thing, the other party's expecting maybe something a little bit different, or maybe you are aligned up front, but as you start moving, well, maybe life changes and responsibilities change or whatever, there's a disconnect. And now you feel like maybe one party is doing more than they anticipated, or they're not getting their fair share of compensation. And that's where the issues start to creep in. So having that clarity and alignment up front can alleviate a lot of those challenges that you see on the back end, especially, if things aren't going well and now people start to, point fingers a little bit or play the blame game. So if you can get that clarity up front, gives you a little bit more clarity and pathway as far as how you manage that relationship moving forward. Talk to me about kind of maybe the things you've seen from talking to various investors. What are the challenges they face, and how has this platform been able to impact the clients that use it right now?
Yeah, it's been so exciting. I mean, we're a platform. It's a software as a service, and what's unique about that is we can just focus on all the challenges that you just discussed, right? Like, all we care about is protecting the relationships and helping them build the best partnerships possible, joint ventures, investor groups, whatever it might be. They can build it on our platform and have confidence that they're building it the right way. They are discussing the things and agreeing on those things up front and the expectations up front. So we have this platform of thousands of investor groups, tens of thousands of members of those investor groups, and they're investing in, everything. I mean, anything that feels local, things that they understand, things that they're passionate about. And you can imagine that's a lot of real estate, right? There's a lot of passive investing into real estate syndication. There's a lot of joint ventures where there's active real estate deals that they're doing, short-term rentals, single families. And that's just, real estate's an awesome asset class. And then in addition to that, we have people that are, investing in different startups. Say they're doctors, right? We have a lot of doctors coming together, and their friends, their colleagues from college are doing different ventures. And because of those relationships, they're putting their capital into, say, a startup or some other type of business venture. We have others that are investing in art. So coming together and invest in art or collectibles. So, we just get a lot of fulfillment from, hearing our tribe stories is what we call them. In fact, you can, go to tribevest.com and check out our customer stories, where they talk about what Tribevest enabled them to do, how investing as a tribe empowered them to take ownership in something they would have never taken ownership before. And they're not too unsimilar of my brothers and I's story, right? No way would I've ever been in a position to launch a company like Tribevest if we hadn't been investing as a tribe leading up to that point. So yeah, it's super rewarding and fulfilling to hear the stories and hear how not Tribevest, but the power of the tribe that they've been able to harness and was empowered by the platform has changed their trajectory.
Well, I think the power of that tribe is so key. And if you have like-minded individuals around you that you can work with, this is certainly a way for you to, kind of accelerate that growth and not rely solely on what you have in your own bank account, but partner and leverage those other people around you. And using a platform like this can help you navigate some of the pitfalls that I think have, unfortunately crushed many other partnerships because they did not take the time to identify those issues and those challenges up front. So by doing that, you set yourself up for success. And just like Travis has done with his brothers, maybe you're sitting there and you can build the portfolio you're looking for. Again, if you want to learn more, check out some of those case studies and success stories. Go to tribevest.com. Travis, we're going to move on to our round of insights. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, Travis, give me a failure or an apparent failure that sets you up for later success.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I think all my success is based on failure. It's experiential learning. And I guess one that comes to mind is, probably my career choice out of college was financial advising, and wanted to work for Morgan Stanley. Had hopes and dreams of helping people reach their financial dreams, and realizing that was the wrong industry to be in. And I think that was a huge failure for me. I left there empty, not feeling like I had helped my friends, my clients reach their financial potential, or even really help them on their journey. And that has left an impression on me of, I wanted to figure out how to fix that failure that I had early in my career.
Give me, besides Tribevest, give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend.
I would say, just the a calculator, an ROI calculator, as simple as can be, spreadsheet for determining if a deal is a good deal or not a good deal. I have my own, but there's a lot out there on the, in the internet that you can use, but that's what I use all the time to assess whether I should or shouldn't do deals.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've gifted that and shared that, recommended it more than any other book.
What's a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals?
I get up every morning at 4:00 and count 4 or 3 blessings from the day before. And then I journal the blessings, how I felt while I was receiving those blessings, or having gratitude for what happened the day before. And then going on about a vision, something that I want to achieve out in the future, either later that day or later in the decade. And then 20 minutes of prayer and meditation. That changed my life. I did that starting 5 years ago, and absolutely changed everything I was doing and who I am today.
Give me your number one insight for tribe investing.
Get started. Do it. It provides an amazing discipline. And that's, anybody asks me what's the main thing you should know before you embark on Tribevesting, it's just get started. Start doing it. Move forward with the people you know, like, and trust, and have an amazing experience.
All right, let's switch gears completely. You are in Columbus, so give me your favorite place to grab a bite to eat.
Gosh, I would say Tommy's Pizza is my favorite. I grew up going there from high school and in when I was in college at Ohio State. Best pizza in the world.
There you go. Listen, I love hearing your story, talking about you and your brothers on that fishing trip, getting together, having a pretty deep conversation about where you're at financially, and deciding to partner and work together to invest, starting to save money, $500 a month each, slowly building that up to the point where you can start investing in deals, and then growing that to a platform that allowed you more flexibility and freedom in your life. And now with Tribevest, you're helping other people do the same thing. Again, if they want to learn more, you can go to tribevest.com. Travis, I just want to thank you again for being a great guest and coming on Multifamily Insights. We look forward to staying in touch, and I hope you have a great day.